This one time, I was at Whispering Pines Camp. We set up a massive tent up on a hill, and it was a bunch of very loud, very hard to sit still grade 6 boys camped out in this very large tent on top of a hill. And it was by far one of the most memorable times that I remember at camp, just hanging out with a bunch of guys outside, roasting marshmallows, and then just kind of cool when we just lay down to go to bed, that we just kind of have a whole new appreciation for outside and for the environment we had there.
My favorite thing about camp is just the chance you have to get to be best friends with everyone there, and by the end everyone's basically like a giant family, and you just get to be totally yourself and be fully immersed in what you're doing with your friends without the influence of like media.
What is my favorite thing about camp? I would say being able to get away from my busy life and go hang out in nature and the trees and all that, and just kind of spend time, be able to focus on God and spend a little dedicated time to Him, and also get to enjoy nature. And
God speaks in a lot of ways, but especially at camp, you're really isolated. Cuts you off sort of from the things that you don't need. And so when I'm at camp, you're able to hear the voice of God that much more, and you don't have a lot of the distractions of like, oh, I gotta go play video games, I don't got time to do this, don't got time to do that. But when you're at camp, it's like you have an open schedule. So it's really exciting to see God move when you're out in nature, and you're just able to be silent before Him and listen and all that stuff.
My favorite thing about camp is seeing all the kids out there who've never been out before, and they get to experience things that they've never done before. Go on the climbing wall, go out to Elkwater, play at the beach, and just seeing them come out and just let go of some of the troubles that are at home. Maybe they have family problems, and then getting to tell them about Jesus and just seeing their lives change.
One of my favorite things about Whispering Pines Camp is that God works in special ways there, in my life and in kids' lives. You know, it's always one of those times, either in quiet time or in chapel or just outside walking and playing games, that I feel the peace and security that, you know, God gives.
my favorite memory of camp is at youth camp when I was about 14. Me and the youth leader and a couple others went on a extremely long bike ride over the Cypress Hills, and probably took us about 6 hours, and it was a really good time, and probably something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Out of all the years that I was at Whispering Pines Camp, one of my most treasured memories was kind of closer to the end of the week. Just one of the campfires we'd have, and everybody would sing songs, and it'd be kind of fun, and everybody be a little bit too sweaty, but it all just come down to just time where we'd all kind of just be still and just listen to somebody talk and stories about the week. And
one of my favorite things about camp has to be campfire. I used to be the guy that hated campfire. I used to be way too cool to sing the songs or do the actions, but now that's one of the things I love the most about campfire, is watching those kids that come at the beginning of the week who are way too cool to do any of the actions, sing any of the crazy songs, turn into the kids by the end of the week who are absolutely doing everything at campfire, acting completely silly and outrageous. I don't know how or what it is, but God seems to bring stuff out of people around a campfire when we're all looking into the fire and watching the flames and just talking honestly about what God's doing. So that's definitely one of my favorite things about camp.
One of my top things about camp, Whispering Pines Camp, was the food that was made was like, oh, out of this world. It was so good.
this one time, we were out at camp, and there was this giant pit filled with mud, and we played in the mud for like 2 hours, and it was amazing.
I think Bible camps are important. It's 1 week that kids get to be especially taken aside for God in the ways that there's no negative distractions, like, you know, the TV's not on and the cell phone isn't ringing. Then the friends from school that aren't a positive influence on them aren't around. It's a place where the staff is prayed up and their hearts are full of God. The entire experience of camp is covered by people that are praying, and God Himself in that period, free of all the distractions and all the noise going on.
I've been a camp counselor for quite a few years now, and I've just seen how drastically 1 week can change a child's life. I've seen kids experience God and accept Him for the first time, and it's such an amazing thing. And even kids who have grown up in the church their whole life, going to camp and being surrounded by other kids their own age and just seeing their passion for Christ grow is amazing. And I think it's very important for people to have retreats occasionally and just get away from life.
Being at camp, I really established quiet time, and setting aside the time to read my Bible was so important. But I always lost sight of that when I went home. But being at camp so often really helped me to just renew the importance of that in my mind, that so when I go home, it just showed me just how important it really is.
I think Bible camps are important because I became a Christian at camp. So they're very important to me, and I know that they can change your life forever. And when I was 18 years old and I gave my life to the Lord at camp, that's impacted me till today and has changed how I live my life. And I just found the freedom in Jesus that I wouldn't have found otherwise. And I've always been thankful for the people who worked out at camp and for the camp directors and my counselors, because their time that they took with me and sharing with me about the Lord has made me who I am today.
Well, the one experience I will never forget, for sure, is my first year at camp. I went and actually got saved and felt the love of Jesus, which was really sweet because I knew all that stuff and like going to church.
Bible camp has changed my life. Actually, I accepted Christ at a Bible camp. And yeah, that kind of started me on my faith journey. And I find that every year when I come back from camp, it's like a camp high where you bring Christ into your daily life. And I'm learning more and more that that doesn't have to end once camp ends or after the summer ends. When you go to school and work, as long as you take that time every day, God wants to go with you and be involved in your daily life.